if you look in your textbooks on page 38 in chapter 2 here, they start talking about improper payments, the oversight of any claims through Medicare that are being paid. They talk a little bit, and you first get exposed to the abbreviation there of RACs, or Recovery Audit Contractors, on page 38. And towards the bottom, they start talking about, as you can see in the bold terms, NCDs and LCDs. So national coverage determinations and local coverage determinations. I want to talk to you a little bit about this, a little more in depth than what it does in the chapter, just a quick video. Read through those paragraphs there. As you can see on the screen, I have a link in chapter 2 called the Medicare Coverage Database and the Medicare NCD Index. If we look at the Medicare Coverage Database, it brings us right to CMS.gov. We are going to use CMS.gov a lot this semester. If you're needing help with any type of your reimbursement homework, come to CMS and dig. Okay, you can find a lot of things here. Right here we have the alphabetical index. You can see the alphabet going across the top here. You can see how many records there are. When the chapter talks about NCD and LCD requirements not being met, okay, then claims don't get paid. Okay, so if we don't meet their regulations as stated here in one of these documents we're going to look at, a national coverage determination or a local coverage determination, they will not pay our claims. Okay, and we're talking Medicare here. Okay, Medicare makes up their own rules and we all have to jump through the hoops to follow them. So if we look through this listing, these are all things, all provided services that have policies on them, an LCD or an NCD. Let's see, I'm trying to look. Let's see, let's go to CT. Let's do the colorectal screening test. If we click on that, there's a long description, okay, that you have to read through to make sure that you're meeting all the requirements. What type of test are you doing? Is it the Cologuard multi-target stool DNA test? Okay. If it is, it says that this test is covered every 3 years for Medicare beneficiaries that meet all of the following criteria. So you have to meet these 3 bullets for this test to get covered for Medicare people once every 3 years. Okay. So when we read through this, it starts talking about claims processing instructions, and you can go through and read the processing instructions. There's different histories here at the end where it talks about when the last time they revised them was. The lab information, the tests here again, and any additional information. They're going through some of these more screening tests down below. But if you look, this is super important for us to make sure that we do follow these rules. And it says all other indications for colorectal cancer screening not otherwise specified in the Act and the regulations up above or otherwise specified above remain nationally non-covered. Non-coverage specifically includes all of these tests, any just screening, CT or colonography, and anything other. I'm going to look at these claims processing instructions a second, just because I want to step one further. Oh, they don't tell us anything. Okay, let me look. I'm trying to find a good one for you here. Let's see. Okay, if we go to P and find prostate-specific antigen, or PSA, this is a very common test for men to look for prostate cancer. If you scroll down, again, they give a description information, so they talk about it. Okay, you can read through that. The limitations, okay, it says this test is performed only once per year, unless there's a change in the patient's medical condition. Okay, so it will cover once per year. It's kind of like the woman's pap smear. Do you see here covered code lists? Okay, July 2018, here says ICD-10. Oh, it's a zip file. Let me look. Let's open this one. One that's not zipped, it's just a little bit older. If we scroll through here, we can find the listing of the codes here, and there's a bunch of fixes, a bunch of stuff in red and then black that comes before you can actually get to the main table of contents here. So we clicked on prostate specific antigen, or PSA test. If we go through and find it here, there's blood counts, PT, thyroid, lipid, prostate specific antigen. If we click on this, and you can see in the index it tells us a description, and we're going to get codes. So the description talks about it, okay? Talks about when it's covered. Here's the actual CPT code that we use right out of the CPT book, 84153, okay? And it says these are the codes that are covered. These are ICD-10 codes covered by the Medicare program. So if I send this CPT code, 84153, to Medicare, and I use R39.12 as my I-10 diagnosis code for the reason for having that PSA or that 84153 code, they will pay it. No questions asked. That meets medical necessity. Okay, medical necessity is something you've got to understand. If I find a code, and see that's the end of the listing, so it's really not that big. Okay, it starts here. All of these are covered codes to here. Okay, if I submit a code that is not on that list, it falls right here, an ICD-10 code that does not support medical necessity, any other code not listed in the above section does not support medical necessity, Medicare will deny it and not pay it. If I did not get my patient to sign a waiver saying I agree to pay if Medicare doesn't, I just have to write off that amount now at my facility, which maybe a PSA is $160, $170 for that blood test. Okay, so I write that off. We eat it. It goes down the drain. There's no money I can collect from that. It's important before we bill out something like the PSA, that test, to know these codes that are covered. If I am in my patient's chart, does my patient have any of these issues noted in their chart? Are they having blood in their urine, gross hematuria? Okay, just regular hematuria. Any of those R31 codes are all covered, right? Okay, nocturia, having to go to the bathroom at night. If that's a symptom, okay, let's document it and let's use that code. We're not changing our codes, but if the code is there, if that diagnosis is there in their chart, we can pull it and use it as a covered code for that 84153. Okay? Make sure that makes sense to you. These are all NCDs and LCDs. This whole listing, 345 of them. These are all NCDs because they are on cms.gov. They are national. Everyone has to follow these no matter what state you go and work at. Okay? LCDs are local. Our local Medicare carrier here is WPS, or Wisconsin's Physician Service. When I send claims out of my facility to Medicare, they don't go to Medicare at a P.O. box somewhere in some town. There's not some tower of a building or a facility that's called Medicare that does all Medicare claims. Medicare is like this big it's like the cloud, okay? And they get people and hire people to do claims for them. Wisconsin's Physician Service is who files and interprets and does all Medicare claims for here in the state of Iowa. Okay, so if someone has Medicare and we're sending a claim for them, a charge, we send it to Medicare, we send it to Wisconsin's Physician Service at an address, and they will process it for CMS or Medicare. Okay, Wisconsin's Physician Service can have also their own, sometimes a little bit tighter policies. Those are called LCDs. Okay, NCDs are over everyone. You find them here at cms.gov. LCDs, we'd have to go, they start with local, so you go to your local Medicare carrier, which for Iowa, ours is WPS or Wisconsin's Physician Service. Okay, so when you're coding, you're not just looking through your code books or using your encoder and getting codes and going on with your day. You also need to pay attention to if that patient has Medicare or Medicaid, and if there's policies out there that you need to follow. That's what this listing is, a listing of policies that we need to pay attention to so we can get paid. I hope this video helped you guys on LCDs and NCDs.